Hey yo, what is going on guys? Cash and Clean here, and for today's video we finally got the PTS that dropped, so all that hype around that new update that was gonna happen is finally here. So everything we saw with that shark in the screenshots and basically everything in those screenshots, we have them all in here. And just like always, I'll link the patch notes in the description, so if you do want to check it out, you can. And basically the PTS kind of dropped out of nowhere. I was already streaming and then out of nowhere the PTS dropped, so I was like, you know, may as well stream the PTS with all of you guys. So shout outs to all of you guys that stayed tuned for the stream. But now I'm gonna make a video on this, so I'm gonna go over everything that is going to be important, which is going to be basically everything on the PTS. And straight off the bat, I'm going to kind of go into the new gear. So if we go over here, we have stuff to upgrade into the new gear. So you might be wondering, is there new gear? Is there new gems? Is there something higher than the crystal rarity? And the answer to those is just for the gear. So a couple months ago, you guys probably remember, PC players got the update for crystal 5s, and at the time they were pretty useless, and I guess it was just like a preparation for this very moment, because at the moment this is what the current map looks like. If it doesn't look like this for you, then you're gonna have to update your mod, and this is assuming you're going onto the PTS. And if you're trying to transfer your account from the live servers to the PTS, just make sure you do / and then export account, just like that. And then you want to wait like 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. Sometimes it might just mess up and you might have to do it again. But anyway, before we get into everything that's in here, I want to get into the forge. So the new gear, according to the patch notes, says it's Mystic. Now I'm gonna get this confused with Mythic, so if you guys hear me say Mythic in this video, I really do mean Mystic. Now at the moment I have no information on what it even looks like, if we have to level it up like this one, or like how much power rank it gives, or what the stats might be. I really have no idea. There's nobody at the moment that has upgraded their stuff, but whenever I do get my hands on one, I'll be sure to let you guys know, just to see what it looks like and everything fancy like that, all of the stats. But anyway, going back to the whole Crystal 5 thing, so you guys basically know how it was useless. Like, we didn't really need it, and then after that we basically did a little bit more damage in U11. But if you wanted to just be like a casual endgame player, then you didn't really have to have it. But now you do have to have it, and that is if you want to upgrade to Mystic. Because if you didn't know, way back in the day, you used to be able to go from Shadow Gear to Radiant Gear to Stellar Gear, and then for whatever reason they just jumped straight into Crystal. That was like its own separate thing. Now from Crystal, once you get Crystal 5, you can then upgrade that Crystal 5 to the Mythic, or sorry, not Mythic, Mystic. And it's only on the Crystal 5. You can't take your Crystal 1, level it all the way to Crystal level 5, and then do this. You have to have a Crystal 5. So if you're trying to get Crystal 5, I have guides on that, so check out my channels and guides for all of that stuff. And hopefully in my next video, I can kind of explain the stats and all that stuff, so you guys can get an idea of what that would look like. And going over the resources real quick, we have Depths Core, we have Soul of the Depths, and then we have Deep Stone. Now, at the moment, these two are tradable, the Depths Core and the Deep Stone. These are a little bit harder to find. These are from 5-star dungeons that we're going to get into in just a second. They're going to be 5-star dungeons from here. And then the Soul of the Depths are going to be from the new Delve biome. And I'll show you the Delve thing in just a second. I don't really have one to craft right now, but I do have footage from the stream that I can show you guys. And basically, that's everything that has to do with the forge. I'm going to go over just a second on how to get all of these things. And then moving on to the Runecrafting bench, there is some more things added in here. So we can go all the way up to level 400. And I kind of just did a little bit of farming on stream with you guys. So basically, I crafted 50 of these to unlock the next spot. And the new thing to look out for here is this rune stuff. Now, this is going to be super annoying, and the idea of this is you want to go over here and craft your rune. You're going to have blocks, so if you don't have blocks, try to get them. Otherwise, these things are going to go up in price. The Glim you can find at the hub, and just buy those from the merchants with your flux, and then just make sure you have blocks to actually craft this thing. You will need this to craft the stuff in here. Now, this won't really level you up just yet, but you're going to need these at some point to get the rune fragments if you read the description there. Now, what I did is I crafted this one. So at the top, it says when you complete a dungeon, you can get some rune fragments. And basically with those rune fragments, you're going to need these rune slate airs over here. So the rune fragment right over here, and the air is going to be used to craft this thing over here. And then it's just going to be the same thing with here. So we have fire, and then here we have water. And the main reason why you'll need that is because once we get to Depths Carver over here, you're actually going to need those things. So you will need air, and it looks like you'll need 50 to unlock the next area. And then as far as all of these things go, I'm going to go over the new resources in just a second. And basically you get the idea. So you're gonna go all the way over here, craft whatever you need, and then you'll eventually get to this location where you're gonna get the tomes. So there's 2 tomes, and then as far as the other mastery stuff goes, there's some allies which we'll get into in just a second. And now moving away from the rune crafting, let's open up our map here. We have a few things to look at. So there's no more Ubers. They kind of got rid of that. So whenever we're trying to refer to something brand new, we're gonna have to come up with a name. So don't make the mistake I did and call this U14 and then this U15. That's not what it is. This is just U12. if we actually look at the patch notes, I made this mistake, but basically in the patch notes, it's saying that this was the previous U10, and then this right here is going to be the U11 if we just follow that order. So basically everything is the same. They just changed the names and they added difficulties. So if you guys want to, we can call this like D14 and then this D15, and then this is technically our U12. So we can kind of pick and choose what to do with that. Kind of like the same in every place. So this is going to be your same typical ground world, air world, all the difficulties and all that stuff will be the same. You're just basically going to have to readjust to the new names, and just know that Mega Dark is going to be your previous U10. So that's going to be this one over here. And if you guys do remember the TikTok that I showed when I was talking about the new update, they had something going on over here. Basically all they did was move the shadow tower that used to be here all the way up here, and then they replaced it with this place called Long Shade. So it does look kind of confusing, and like I mentioned, if you do have a mod that's conflicting, then you're most likely not going to see this stuff here. So just disable your mod, you'll be able to see it. And before I actually get into it, let me just go over a couple things here. So on the patch notes, it does say that you have to be 40 kpr, but here it says that you have to be 42.5 kpr. And then I already meet the requirements, but the other part is the light portion. So you're gonna have 8500 plus light. So it's gonna be similar like the other ones, so like getting into U11. So you'll have to have a little bit more light and a little bit more power rank. And if you are struggling to get power rank, then you can check out my power rank guides. I do have a bunch of those, some crystal gem guides if you need help with those. And now let's talk about this real quick. So at the moment you can see 3 biomes. We have the Forbidden Spires, we have Desert, and we have Neon. Now over here it's going to say Ancient Heights. That's referring to Forbidden Spires. So don't worry about that too much. We don't actually have a new biome. That new biome is in Delves. I'll show you that in just a second. And basically how this works is every 3 hours, these 3 biomes are going to change. So if there's something specific that you have to farm for, that biome will appear in rotation. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. Let's hop into this. So once you spawn, this is going to be the hub area. It does look kind of nice. I mentioned this on stream, but the rejuvenation station, the rally blade, and then the chest with the loot collector, they're kind of far apart, but that's just, I don't know, that's just my thing. I personally don't like that, but I guess it's kind of whatever. But overall, the hub area looks kind of cool. So let's talk about the map. So this is going to be the spawn area. And then as you can see, we have the other biomes, and every 3 hours these biomes are going to change. It's not like before we can hold on to the world, because at some point you're just going to get kicked out to the hub, and then you're going to have to join a new one to farm whatever you need to there, because it will eventually get replaced by 3 more biomes, and it's not going to be added on, it's just going to replace the current ones. And while we're here, let's kind of just go over everything. So everything's going to be the same apart from this. This is going to be new. So this is going to be our brand new 5-star dungeon. And if you do hop on the PTS, just know that if you're not doing enough damage, it's most likely because of lag. And at the moment, I'm running 12.1k lights. I'm kind of missing some because I'm currently using this to get the rune fragments, but we don't have to worry about that right now. I'm just going to replace it with my free range just to have some extra light. And then before I actually fight this thing, let me go to the outpost to craft a couple of keys. I'll go over that and then we'll do the 5-star dungeon together. So you're going to find these little outposts around. That's what you're going to do to find these little ships. And then eventually you'll find this guy. He's going to be on every ship. So there's a couple things to look out for. So we have some sparkling keys. We have a depth stepper, and then these were like originally here before. And at the moment I can't really buy these because PTS. And I'll kind of show you what these things do. So if we go over to this bench over here. So the 2 things over here on the left side is going to be for this current world, that long shade area. Oh my god, I'm getting swarmed by bees. What is going on? All right, let me take out this guy. That was kind of crazy. I was just being attacked by bees. And also on stream, we kind of came up with a little joke. So basically, you open up the atlas with Control A, and then this is like a black hole. You can kind of just call it Control A hole or the A hole area or whatever you want to call it, or just Long Shade or U12. It has a bunch of names. But anyway, this area that has the 5-star dungeons, by the way, it's going to be in every single biome, and it's all going to be one 5-star dungeon. It's going to be the same exact one, and you will be using these 2 keys for those 5-star dungeons. Now this, you can only craft a certain amount, so try to get those as much as you can. And then these are unlimited. You'll just need the runic key fragments, which I'll show you how to get in just a second. And then here's the depth stepper. If you wanted to craft it, you just need depth's core. You'll be getting this from the 5-star dungeon once you open up the chest at the end, which you'll be using the key for. I'll show you that in just a second. Let me actually craft a couple. And then I guess if it really came down to it, it says you can only craft 1 of these. So if you have these specific resources, you can get an extra head start on your depth's core, but you're just going to be getting these from your 5-star dungeons. And so far they are tradable, so we'll see if it ends up staying that way. And then this side over here is going to be for delves. So at the end, you can see that the name says vault. And then here it says this is for the surface, so surface depths cache. So if you see the ones that say sparkling key, you're gonna get extra loot, and these will just be regular keys. So basically try to craft as many sparkling keys as you can to get the extra loot, and then once you run out, you can go back to the regular ones. Also, if you do go into a delve and you forget to craft your keys, at the end of it, there is like a key crafting mold, so you can craft your keys over there if you really need to. And yeah, that's basically it there. And while we're here, I did mention allies before. So here's going to be the new allies. As you can see, you need a stack of each thing here. So this is going to be from delves, specifically from the vault, so every 3rd floor. And one thing I forgot to mention, these depth steppers start at 170 minimum, as you can see from the bottom there in the description. So no matter what you do, you have to start at 170. It's gonna be kind of tough if you're farming up there alone, so you will have to probably farm this with a group to make it more efficient. And hopefully they end up changing these numbers, because a stack of these is kind of insane. Because I'm pretty sure if you're just using the sparkling keys and you're doing these once a day, it's gonna take you, what, 27 years to craft this? And that's just one of these, and you'll have to do that 4 times. So basically, by the time you die, you'll have to pass down your account to your kids, and they will have to finish this for you, and then you'll be able to have max mastery. And at the moment, I don't know if these things are tradable, or if you can farm this some other way. Hopefully they reduce the numbers, because farming 27 years for these things are gonna be kind of rough. But luckily, the depth core are tradable. These things are not tradable. So we'll see if they end up adjusting those values. Alright, so far, hopefully all of that has made sense. Alright, so as we go to the 5-star dungeon, you're going to see some plants. So these are going to be new. You want to farm these things. Now that's going to be cinnabark. Each little area is going to have their own thing. So this is cinnabark. If we go to Desert Frontier, they're not too difficult to find. You'll have to make sure you go to like an unexplored area. So I'll try to do that. Right over here, we can find this over here. We got this stuff. That's gonna be your petrified coral. And then apart from that, we got some new enemies. So you can just fight them if you really need to. Probably shouldn't do that, by the way, but I just got a petrified coral just from doing that. And then another thing to note here is we have some new blocks here. So we have this purple one next to the shapestone, which you'll see more of these kind of grouped together, kind of like this over here. This kind of looks like the builderite kind of reskinned to transparent. Someone was mentioning that in my Twitch chat, and I agree with that. It does kind of look like that. So you can get a bunch of these. You can get a bunch of those purple ones. Usually they're grouped up a little bit better than that. And that's going to be your lichen stone. So I'll just do this just so you guys can get an idea of that. So 1 lichen stone. And then as for these purple ones over here, we look down here, that's going to be your rune slate. So that's how you get those resources. And then over here we have our 5-star dungeon. So a couple of things have changed. The main thing is still there. So you want to activate this thing. So just press E on it. And then I'll just go to the Curse Skull to show you guys. So the thing with the Curse Skull is it's a 1 of 4 wave instead of a 1 of 2. So if you remember Curse Skulls, you would just do 2 little waves of objectives. This one's going to be 4, and they usually just spawn with a bunch of enemies. It's a little bit annoying because they kind of just scatter everywhere. And this is kind of the damage right now. And as you can see, I'm still doing pretty decent amounts of damage. It's not like terrible or anything. And this is with Shadow Hunter. Usually I would use my stun ability, but it's pretty terrible to do here. You kind of want them to be grouped up, but it looks like they're not going to be doing that. So farming this with a group is going to be super good, because if you're farming solo, it's going to take you a while to actually finish it. And I would imagine that there would be a bunch of these kinds of farms, so try to join those if you can. I would imagine that if you join this world, you're going to find a bunch of people in it. So expect to find a lot of server lag, especially when the update drops. And as you defeat the chests, you'll get the runic key fragments. So that's how you're going to end up crafting the keys. And then if we just go around, as long as you have a boss mod, you can kind of find each thing here. I'm pretty sure this is the thing that one-shots you through death defying, so be careful about that. There's one that does it in Delves. I'm pretty sure this is the one that does it in the this world over here as well. So just be careful about the one-shot. Try not to die, especially if you're farming solo, and you'll be good to go. Some enemies will have like a little boss mod thing show up there. So I guess nothing too fancy, just beat the boss. This is gonna be your giant shark thing, not from the spoiler, I'm pretty sure. This guy looks like he has a different little color to him. And basically all these bosses that you're seeing right now, you're gonna end up seeing them in Delves as well, so expect to find a lot more mementos. There's gonna be a bunch of creature ones, some bosses, and then the biome memento. So if we take a look here, this is going to be the biome. It's going to be the only one, and then we got some bosses and creature ones. These Cursed Skulls can get kind of annoying because 4 waves, bunch of enemies to fight now. Take a while. But basically, that's all there is to the 5-star dungeon. Just do all of that, and then there's going to be a chest back in the middle. So those keys that we crafted earlier, make sure to use your sparkling one first, and then use your normal ones. So I'll just drag my normal one to my hotbar, and then we'll just open that up. And then as you can see, we have a few things here. So we get a depths core, we get 1 if we use the regular key, and then we'll get 2 if we use the sparkling key. And those are the drop rates at the moment right now. I don't know if they're gonna change it in the future, so I guess we'll have to stay tuned for future updates. We get some runic key fragments, some gear crafter vaults, and yeah, it's basically like the main stuff there. And before we get into the delve portion, I do want to talk about this deep stone over here. So they are kind of hard to find. I'll put up footage of me getting them right here. I was able to get them on stream, and it looks like they are tradable as of right now, so hopefully it stays that way. And it looks like the rune slates are also tradable, as well as the lichen stone, but they are kind of hard to find. You just have to kind of explore through the caves, through like the overworld, just like check the surfaces, check the caves, and you might find it grouped up with other ore, so just be on the lookout for that. And then now that we get into the delves, like I mentioned earlier, you have to start at 170. There's no other way, and the main thing is you have to do 3 depths to get to the shadowy vaults. And then from those vaults, you're going to be able to use your sparkling key or your regular key, and that's what you do to get your soul of the depths. Now, the soul of the depths are untradeable, so you're going to have to farm them, and I'm pretty sure that's about 1300 shadowy depths that you have to do if you want to max out every single class. But I guess the one nice thing is, as you're doing that, you're probably going to get the mementos. So if you thought about buying the bronze cube mementos, or the gold ones, or the silver ones, or whatever the case may be, you're most likely just going to get it if you plan on actually maxing every single class. So now going back to the delves, I'll just put up footage right here of me farming it. So when I was first in there, I thought it was some kind of space thing because it took us a long time to land. There's like some weird gravity thing going on. And then I remembered that this update was kind of underwater themed. So we're going to have a lot of slow fall. So if you're trying to go down in the delves, now these delves are kind of unique. You do have to go up, you do have to go down. There's some like interesting directions you have to go in when you do these delves. But it's super annoying because you will have that slow fall effect. And at the moment, I don't think there's a way to bypass that. I mean, unless you have like a super good gaming chair or something like that, I don't think there's really anything you can do. You just have to go through this delve at 170. And I was kind of thinking that maybe if we upgrade our gear, maybe we'll get some kind of buff that allows us to travel through these depths a little bit better. Maybe you can just do stuff underwater a little bit better. Maybe it does nothing, who knows. And pretty much as you go through these delves, there isn't really anything too fancy about them. You just have to fight these enemies. Sometimes they have magic immune, sometimes they have physical immune, so you have to be careful about that. Sometimes they will be bugged like this, and no matter how much damage you do, they just won't die. They just don't lose HP, and if that happens, then you most likely just have to restart. So we kind of found like a weird bypass thing about it. It took us a long time, but we eventually just invited somebody and then they just ended up killing the enemy, so I guess that just worked out. We didn't complete the objective in time, but you know, that's okay. We were able to get the shadowy vault, so that's all that mattered. So we were able to collect our loot, and then we're also able to get our soul of the depths, and it was just one of them. And like I said, in case you missed the key, there is an all-purpose key there, so you can craft it there if you really need to. And as you're going through the delves, there isn't really like an indicator that you are underwater. You're just mainly gonna have to assume. I guess the cool thing is that you're not gonna be randomly encountered by this biome when you're farming in the lower depths. So it is going to be at 170, and that's just the minimum. And one thing to note about these depths is that you can only go 12 floors deep, so that's only going to be 4 bosses and vaults. So once you do that, you're just going to have to restart, and unless you have some type of cool gaming chair, that's basically all that you can do. You're just going to have to restart and do it again at 170. So at the moment, everything's on the PTS. So my guess is that within the next few weeks, they're probably going to adjust some of the numbers for certain things, maybe add additional things, but who really knows? I have no idea when this update is going to drop, but if I had to guess, it's probably going to be the end of this month or maybe early July. There will be a new event that drops on the live servers next week. And then if you're on console, I really have no idea if you're gonna get anything. So I apologize to you console people. It kind of sucks that we're getting all these new updates and you guys are still kind of left behind, but they're also still kind of dealing with the duping and all that stuff. So we'll just have to see when that gets resolved. So I guess that's going to be it for today's video. If anything else drops, if I get my hands on the new weapon or the new mythic, I will be sure to let you guys know. And on that note, thank you all so much for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing, and I will talk to you all later.